Vekoma is a Dutch manufacturer known prior for their off-the-shelf, crappy clonable ride models. However, over the past decade, we've seen a renaissance of the former company, as their new rides are so different, smooth, and unique it would be nearly impossible for an average theme park guest to tell the difference between either of these two rides. This shocking change has left parks all around flooded with their entire portfolio, and especially Energylandia seems to enjoy them the most. However, now that Vekoma has finally reached the Western market, we are seeing many of these new rides being built all around the country. But other than that, here are my top 5 theme parks that in my opinion need a new generation Vekoma the most. For this video's sake, I will not be including a park that has already had one of their rides confirmed for the future, but with that being said, let's get into it.
Now you're going to have to hear me out on this one. Santa's Village is a small park in Dundee, Illinois, and what makes it so special is that its siblings, Santa's Village in New Hampshire and Ontario, have received a Vekoma family coaster. Now, although those parks aren't connected management-wise, and from what I found, this park isn't any different, I still believe a family coaster, especially from the likes of Vekoma, for example, a junior coaster or perhaps a family invert, would cater to a wide audience. And Vekoma makes it easy, since the height requirement on their rides are only a little over 3 feet, meaning toddlers and elders can both enjoy. But most importantly, this would bring a noticeable attendance boost to the park that it desperately needs, especially since its competitor only an hour away seems to be dominating in every category. Now, this park is already receiving an immense amount of investment, as Shoreline Pier has already soft opened to the public and Project Purple has already gathered a huge media audience. These investments have mainly been a result of a loss of attendance this past decade, so what better to draw in the crowds than a fairly unseen model, the Vekoma Tilt Coaster. This model so far has only 2 installations in North America and nothing close to the New Jersey area. Really, the only ride you'll find like it is Iron Menace at Dorney Park. Now, hopefully this ride would be a hybrid for maximum market attention, but realistically it doesn't have to be. What it would act as is another fantastic ride in Great Adventures lineup and really secure the park as a coaster destination in the world. Now, it's safe to say that this park has a much more hopeful future than it has had in the past 5 years, as Six Flags recently sold the property to Enchanted Parks. Meaning, instead of a low-interest park, it now belongs as one of the major headliners of this newly founded chain, so what better to do than to start off by investing in a model that hasn't yet been seen in this country, and replace Thunderhawk, the Vekoma SLC, with a new generation Vekoma STC. For those who are unfamiliar, this model is a more intense version of their family suspended coaster meant to take riders upside down and even give airtime while underneath the track. Not only would this give Michigan's Adventure a true standout coaster, as there isn't anything like it outside of Europe, but it is a fantastic, comfortable, thrilling ride that people will want to do over and over again. It is literally the perfect choice to build up this park, as in the state that it is in right now, it could clearly use some help. Now, this park is set to replace their former wooden roller coaster, Loop Guru, with an RMC conversion for the 2028 season, but that isn't the only ride they will be losing, as their SLC Vampire will close along with it. Now, we already know that the conversion is going to naturally be Loop Guru's replacement, but that still leaves what will inevitably lie in Vampire's plot up for speculation. Typically, when replacing a ride, you want to add something similar to the former attraction, so what better to do than to also replace this ride with another Vekoma STC? Now, this is the second time I mentioned this ride model, but it really does make sense. An RMC and Intamin Megalite is a formidable 1-2 punch, and in this case could be too much for some people, so building a third ride that is still fun and is sure to please everybody arguably makes the most sense. Now, this doesn't mean the ride itself will not be thrilling, but typically Vekoma doesn't go too far in their rides unless you're talking about Let Coaster, of course. Finally, we have Epic Universe, a park that just opened a little over a year ago, and although it brought a lot of attractions, some areas of the park could still use some improvement. I'm specifically talking about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter section, as at the moment, there's only lies the Battle of the Ministry Dark ride. For me, it only seems fair that since the majority of their rides are for families, it's time to add a thrilling experience. That's why I want a Vekoma Thrill Coaster. That sounds pretty broad, but even if it has a launch or a lift hill, it would be fundamentally different than any other ride in the park. I would really like to see something that looks like a zoo-woo weaving through the buildings. If you have watched any of the Fantastic Beasts movies, you would know how awesome that would fit into the section itself.
But that does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way through. This video took a lot of time to edit and research, so I do really appreciate that. My goal by the end of the year is to hit 1,000 subscribers, which is a huge goal, but I think we can do it, so please consider subscribing. If you are interested in contributing to future videos, please leave your ideas in the comments below or join my Discord server in the description. If this video ends up getting 75 likes, I will recreate some of these rides in Planet Coaster 2, but that's all. Goodbye!